Hello everyone, welcome to Storytime for Grown-Ups. We are so happy you're here with us today. My name is Melinda and I'm a reference librarian at the Blount County Public Library in Maryville, Tennessee. Today I will be reading excerpts from the novel Daddy Longlegs, which was written by American author Gene Webster. It first published in 1912. It has been a popular book with generations of readers as well as moviegoers who have seen different versions of the story in various films. If you are among these, you may recall that this is the story of Jerusha Abbott, a 17-year-old orphan who has received unexpected news of a wonderful new opportunity. As Mrs. Lippett, her straight-laced matron at the orphanage, tells her a wealthy benefactor has taken notice of her academic achievements and especially of her writing skills. And although he usually is interested mainly in helping boys further their education and doesn't care too much for girls, he has decided to send her to college to become a writer. And he wishes to remain anonymous, and the only thing that he asks in return is that she write monthly letters to him to report of her progress and to develop her writing skills, even though he probably will take little notice of those letters himself and never answer them. By the way, unbeknownst to her benefactor, Jerusha has caught one quick glimpse of him and his lanky, long-legged shadow, but more on that later. Today we join Jerusha as she excitedly arrives at college to begin her freshman year. Herewith excerpts from the letters of Miss Jerusha Abbott to Mr. Daddy Longlegs Smith. 215 Ferguson Hall, 24th September. Dear kind trustee who sends orphans to college, here I am. I traveled yesterday for 4 hours in a train. It's a funny sensation, isn't it? I never rode in one before. College is the biggest, most bewildering place. I get lost whenever I leave my room. I will write you a description later when I'm feeling less muddled. Also, I will tell you about my lessons. Classes don't begin until Monday morning, and this is Saturday night, but I wanted to write a letter first just to get acquainted. Before leaving yesterday morning, Mrs. Lippett and I had a very serious talk. She told me how to behave all the rest of my life, and especially how to behave towards the kind gentleman who is doing so much for me. I must take care to be very respectful. But how can one be very respectful to a person who wishes to be called John Smith? Why couldn't you have picked out a name with a little personality? I might as well write letters to Dear Hitching Post or Dear Clothes Prop. I have been thinking about you a great deal this summer. Having somebody take an interest in me after all these years makes me feel as though I had found a sort of family. It seems as though I belong to somebody now, and it's a very comfortable sensation. I must say, however, that when I think about you, my imagination has very little to work upon. There are just 3 things that I know. 1, you are tall. 2, you are rich. 3, you hate girls. I suppose I might call you Dear Mr. Girl Hater, only that's rather insulting to me. Or Dear Mr. Rich Man, but that's insulting to you, as though money were the only important thing about you. Besides, being rich is such a very external quality. Maybe you won't stay rich all your life. Lots of very clever men get smashed up in Wall Street. But at least you will stay tall all your life. So I've decided to call you Dear Daddy Longlegs. I hope you won't mind. It's just a private pet name we won't tell Mrs. Lippett. The 10 o'clock bell is going to ring in 2 minutes. Our day is divided into sections by bells. We eat and sleep and study by bells. It's very enlivening. I feel like a fire horse all of the time. There it goes. Lights out. Good night. Observe with what precision I obey rules due to my training in the John Grier home. Yours most respectfully, Jerusha Abbott. To Mr. Daddy Longlegs Smith, 1st October. Dear Daddy Longlegs, I love college and I love you for sending me. I'm very, very happy and so excited every moment of the time that I can scarcely sleep. You can't imagine how different it is from the John Grier home. I never dreamed there was such a place in the world. I'm feeling sorry for everybody who isn't a girl and who can't come here. I'm sure the college you attended when you were a boy couldn't have been so nice. My room is up in a tower that used to be the contagious ward before they built the new infirmary. There are 3 other girls on the same floor of the tower. A senior who wears spectacles and is always asking us please to be a little more quiet, and 2 freshmen named Sally McBride and Julia Rutledge Pendleton. Sally has red hair and a turn-up nose and is quite friendly. Julia comes from one of the first families in New York and hasn't noticed me yet. They room together, and the senior and I have singles. Usually freshmen can't get singles. They are very scarce, but I got one without even asking. I suppose the registrar didn't think it would be right to ask a properly brought-up girl to room with a foundling. You see, there are advantages. My room is on the northwest corner with 2 windows and a view. After you've lived in a ward for 18 years with 20 roommates, it is restful to be alone. This is the first chance I've ever had to get acquainted with Jerusha Abbott. I think I'm going to like her. Do you think you are? Tuesday. They are organizing the freshman basketball team, and there's just a chance that I shall get in it. I'm little, of course, but terribly quick and wiry and tough. While the others are hopping about in the air, I can dodge under their feet and grab the ball. It's loads of fun practicing out in the athletic field in the afternoon with the trees all red and yellow and the air full of the smell of burning leaves and everybody laughing and shouting. These are the happiest girls I ever saw, and I am the happiest of all. I meant to write a long letter and tell you all the things I'm learning. Mrs. Libet said you wanted to know, but 7th hour has just rung, and in 10 minutes I'm due at the athletic field in gymnasium clothes. Don't you hope I'll get in the team? Yours always, Jerusha Abbott. P.S. 9 o'clock. Sally McBride just poked her head in at my door. This is what she said. I'm so homesick that I simply can't stand it. Do you feel that way? I smiled a little and said, no, I thought I could pull through. At least homesickness is one disease that I've escaped. I never heard of anybody being asylum sick. Did you? 10th October. Dear Daddy Longlegs, did you ever hear of Michael Angelo? He was a famous artist who lived in Italy in the Middle Ages. Everybody in English literature seemed to know about him, and the whole class laughed because I thought he was an archangel. He sounds like an archangel, doesn't he? The trouble with college is that you're expected to know such a lot of things you've never learned. It's very embarrassing at times. But now when the girls talk about things that I never heard of, I just keep still and look them up in the encyclopedia. I made an awful mistake the first day. Somebody mentioned Maurice Maeterlinck, and I asked if she was a freshman. That joke has gone all over college. But anyway, I'm just as bright in class as any of the others, and brighter than some of them. Do you care to know how I furnished my room? It's a symphony in brown and yellow. The wall was tinted buff, and I bought yellow denim curtains and cushions and a mahogany desk, secondhand for $3, and a rattan chair, and a brown rug with an ink spot in the middle. I stand the chair over the spot. Sally McBride helped me choose the things at the senior auction. She has lived in the house all her life and knows about furnishing. You can't imagine what fun it is to shop and pay with a real $5 bill and get some change when you've never had more than a few cents in your life. I assure you, Daddy dear, I do appreciate that allowance. Sally is the most entertaining person in the world, and Julia Rutledge Pendleton the least so. Sally thinks everything is funny, even flunking, and Julia is bored at everything. She never makes the slightest effort to be amiable. She believes that if you were born a Pendleton, that fact alone admits you to heaven without any further examination. Julia and I were born to be enemies. And now I suppose you've been waiting very impatiently to hear what I'm learning. 1. Latin, Second Punic War. Hannibal and his forces pitched camp at Lake Trasimenus last night. They prepared an ambuscade for the Romans, and a battle took place at the 4th watch this morning. Romans in retreat. 2. French. 24 pages of the Three Musketeers and third conjugation irregular verbs. 3. Geometry. Finished cylinders, now doing cones. 4. English. Studying exposition. My style improves daily in clearness and brevity. 5. Physiology. Reach the digestive system, bile and the pancreas next time. Yours on the way to being educated, Jerusha Abbott. Wednesday. Dear Daddy Longlegs, I've changed my name. I'm still Jerusha in the catalog, but I'm Judy everywhere else. It's really too bad, isn't it, to have to give yourself the only pet name you ever had? I didn't quite make up the Judy, though. That's what Freddie Perkins used to call me before he could talk plainly. I wish Mrs. Lippett would use a little more ingenuity about choosing babies' names. She gets the last names out of the telephone book. You'll find Abbott on the first page. And she picks the Christian names up anywhere. She got Jerusha from a tombstone. I've always hated it, but I rather like Judy. It's such a silly name. It belongs to the kind of girl I'm not. A sweet little blue-eyed thing, petted and spoiled by all the family, who romps her way through life without any cares. Wouldn't it be nice to be like that? Whatever faults I may have, no one can ever accuse me of having been spoiled by my family. But it's great fun to pretend I've been. In the future, please always address me as Judy. Dinner bell. Goodbye. Friday. What do you think, Daddy? The English instructor said that my last paper shows an unusual amount of originality. She did, truly. Those were her words. It doesn't seem possible, does it, considering the 18 years of training that I've had? The aim of the John Grier Home, as you doubtless know and heartily approve of, is to turn the 97 orphans into 97 twins. The unusual artistic ability which I exhibit was developed in an early age through drawing chalk pictures of Mrs. Lippett on the woodshed door. I hope that I don't hurt your feelings when I criticize the home of my youth, but you have the upper hand, you know, for if I become too impertinent, you can always stop payment of your checks. That isn't a very polite thing to say, but you can't expect me to have any manners. A foundling asylum isn't a young ladies' finishing school. You know, Daddy, it isn't the work that is going to be hard in college, it's the play. Half the time I don't know what the girls are talking about. Their jokes seem to relate to a past that everyone but me has shared. I'm a foreigner in the world and I don't understand the language. It's a miserable feeling. I've had it all my life. Nobody here knows that I was brought up in an asylum. I told Sally McBride that my mother and father were dead and that a kind old gentleman was sending me to college, which is entirely true so far as it goes. I don't want you to think I'm a coward, but I do want to be like the other girls, and that dreadful home looming over my childhood is the one great big difference. If I can turn my back on that and shut out the remembrance, I think I might be just as desirable as any other girl. I don't believe there's any real underneath difference, do you? Anyway, Sally McBride likes me. Yours ever, Judy Abbott, née Jerusha. Saturday morning. I've just been reading this letter over and it sounds pretty uncheerful, but can't you guess that I have a special topic due Monday morning and a review in geometry and a very sneezy cold. 25th October. College gets nicer and nicer. I like the girls and the teachers and the classes and the campus and the things we eat. We have ice cream twice a week and we never have cornmeal mush. You only wanted to hear from me once a month, didn't you? And I've been peppering you with letters every few days. But I've been so excited about all these new adventures that I must talk to somebody, and you're the only one I know. Please excuse my exuberance. I'll settle pretty soon. If my letters bore you, you can always toss them into the wastebasket. I promise not to write another till the middle of November. Yours most loquaciously, Judy Abbott. 15th November. Dear Daddy Longlegs, listen to what I've learned today. The area of the convex surface of the frustum of a regular pyramid is half the product of the sum of the perimeters of its bases by the altitude of either of its trapezoids. It doesn't sound true, but it is. I can prove it. You've never heard about my clothes, have you, Daddy? 6 dresses, all new and beautiful and bought for me, not handed down from somebody bigger. Perhaps you don't realize what a climax that marks in the career of an orphan. You gave them to me, and I'm very, very, very much obliged. It's a fine thing to be educated, but nothing compared to the dizzying experience of owning 6 new dresses. I suppose you're thinking now what a frivolous, shallow little beast she is, and what a waste of money to educate a girl. But Daddy, if you'd been dressed in checked ginghams all your life, you'd appreciate how I feel. Latest war bulletin, news from the scene of action. At the 4th watch on Thursday, the 13th of November, Hannibal routed the advance guard of the Romans and led the Carthaginian forces over the mountains into the plains of Casilinum. A cohort of light-armed Numidians engaged the infantry of Quintus Fabius Maximus. 2 battles and light skirmishing, Romans repulsed with heavy losses. I have the honor of being your special correspondent from the front, J. Abbott. P.S. I know I'm not to expect any letters in return, and I've been warned not to bother you with questions, but tell me, Daddy, just this once, are you awfully old or just a little old? And are you perfectly bald or just a little bald? It is very difficult thinking about you in the abstract like a theorem in geometry. Given a tall, rich man who hates girls but is very generous to one quite impertinent girl, what does he look like? RSVP. So, do you think Judy will ever find out if Daddy Longlegs is awfully old or just a little bit old, or if he's perfectly bald or just a little bit bald, or anything else about him? And she's made it through most of her first term, but do you think she's going to make it through exams? If you would like to know more about what happens to Judy and her adventures in college, please visit our resources like Reads and Hoopla. You can access them through our website at www.blountlibrary.org. Or if you have questions about how to use those resources, please feel free to call us at 865-982-0981. And I thank you again so much for visiting with us today, and we will look forward to seeing you next time. Thank you. Bye-bye.